Riders, welcome back to Sam's Bikes, where you know we only talk e-bikes, and today is the extreme range test on the Canyon Strive On with the Bosch Race motor with 85 newtons of torque and a 750 watt-hour battery. And what is an extreme range test, you might be asking? Well, quite simply, we go into the Bosch app, we turn everything to the highest power, so giving us the most assistance possible, and I loop my favorite downhill. And riders, this is an extreme range test, so if you are fitter than me or you use less assistance, you are going to get more autonomy out in the mountains. And why are we doing the extreme range test? Well, over the last couple of weeks at Sam's Bikes, we put all the 7 best e-bike motors and systems back to back to find out which is the absolute range monster getting the best autonomy out in the mountains. And if you want to see that video, link in the show notes. But today, it is all about the Canyon Strive On. And before we head out to the mountains, a massive shout out to Schwarby, the long-term sponsors at Sam's Bikes. And we have been rocking on the range test the same tires. So we've got Taki Chan Ultra Soft on the front, 2.4, and a Taki Chan Soft on the back, 2.4, and the tire pressures, 23, 28, and I had them across all of the bikes. And I'm gonna say, riders, if you're looking for a lot of autonomy out in the mountains, these tires, the Taki Chans, are amazing. They're giving you similar grip to a Magic Mary, but the rolling resistance is so much better. If you haven't tried them, I definitely recommend them. Now riders, out to the mountains. Okay, so we are on downhill 2, so we've climbed up twice now. We have done just under 900 meters of vert, and we're at 52% left of the battery. So this will be a good indication on how linear the battery use is. And we've been, riding just over an hour, 14 Ks, average heart rate 125. That's where I want it to be, because this is not a fitness test. This is an autonomy test of the battery. And if you look at your average ride, riders, you probably, if you're a real fit guy, if you look at your average rides, you probably, my average rides are normally 120 to 130, unless I'm really training, or it's like the power hour where it's a bit higher. But over a couple of hours, if I smoke a battery, yeah, my average is around 125, 130. So we're down to the last 2 bars, and they've both gone orange, and that's obviously a warning to start thinking about heading home. And we've done 1267 vertical meters of climbing, and yeah, I'm starting to feel it. Let's crack on. So we're about 20% now. And I do feel a little bit of restriction, not a lot, just a little bit. So now we've gone down to the last bar. So I imagine we've got just under 20% left. The bar is still orange. And I would imagine it would change when we get to 10%, but let's see. So it's just gone from orange on the last bar to red, so that must indicate the last 10%. We must have like 5% left of the battery, and it's still giving I think it has restricted it a little bit, but not a lot. We're still getting a fair bit of power. Now it's restricted again, down to maybe eco. We're not getting a lot of power now. So that's it. When you're out of juice, the bike just instantly turns off. It doesn't flash red, it just turns off. Now let's head back to Sam's Bikes HQ, which is my garden, and analyze the data. Okay, legend riders, now for the stats and my thoughts of the extreme range test on the Bosch Race motor with a 750 watt-hour battery. So riding time, 2 hours and 34 minutes. Distance, 34.4 kilometers. Average heart rate, 125 beats per minute. calories burnt 1,067. And the most important part, the elevation, the vertical meters climbed. We did 1,638 vertical meters of climbing, which I think is very impressive for one of the fastest motors on the market, because I thought the motor might be a little bit more thirsty, but I was wrong. I also found the Bosch motor reasonably linear in battery use. So we did 900 meters and we used 50% of the battery, and then we used 100% of the battery. We did 1,638. So it's reasonably linear. I also felt when the orange light came on, so the warning light to say you're running out of battery, it came on around 30 or 40%. I'm going to say that's a little bit early. I'd like to see it come on maybe at 20 or 25%. I also felt a small restriction at 20%, which I think is possibly also a little bit too early. But on the flip side, so it did restrict it a little bit at 20%, but at 5% we still had a fair bit of power, possibly like trail, so it didn't restrict it that much. And then at around 3%, it restricted it to possibly eco levels, and it gave us power up until the last like 0%. And even at 0%, we still had a little bit of power. So that's impressive. So what's my verdict of the Bosch Race motor with a 750 watt hour battery? I think for the amount of power and poke this motor has, the range is fantastic. And also, if you think about it, you can get the 250 watt hour range extender, making the Bosch system one of the best bikes for range for the monster days out in the saddle. So it's definitely a great option. And right, how does it compare to all the other major e-bikes on the market? Shimano, Brose, Yamaha, Bafang, and Rocky Mountain? Well, I'm going to be a real pain and say, you got to click on the link you see here or in the show notes and go check out my extreme range test where I did over 12,000 meters of vertical climbing in 10 days to find out which is the range monster. Anyway, riders, I hope you enjoyed this video. And like always, if you haven't subscribed to Sam's Bikes, please do so. Share it with like-minded people, and we're going to see you soon.